Hello, I am Kirti Kondawar with Century 21 Heritage Group. Thank you for considering using my services as a real estate agent. Please watch this video to the end as the next steps are at the end of this video. This will also ensure that you have watched this video completely. In this video, I'll walk you through the key points outlined in the RECO Information guide that I just provided to you. This guide was provided by the Real Estate Council of Ontario, otherwise known as RECO, who is a regulatory body for real estate agents and brokerages in the province of Ontario. RECO plays a crucial role in regulating real estate agents, educating consumers, and ensuring that there is a safe and informed marketplace in Ontario. RECO administers and enforces the Trust in Real Estate Services Act 2002. The information that you have is an initiative on their behalf to inform and educate consumers like yourself. Now let's talk about this guide. You are receiving this guide because you are either considering receiving real estate services from a real estate agent like myself, or perhaps I am representing a client in a real estate transaction and you are considering receiving assistance from me as a real estate agent in Ontario. I am required to provide this guide to you before I provide any services or assistance to you. I also must tell you that I am registered with RECO, I have the mandatory education, and I also have the necessary consumer deposit protection and liability insurance. Now let's talk about working with a real estate agent. If you are a seller, I can advise you on market conditions, market or advertise your home, provide you referrals to professionals, arrange inspections, showings, and guide you through the paperwork and the closing processes. As a buyer, I can assist you with financing, explain tax exemptions, gather information on neighborhoods, arrange property tours and visits, explain the offer situation, negotiate with sellers, and guide you through the paperwork and closing processes. As a landlord or tenant, I can provide equally similar services. Now, both buyers and sellers benefit from the duties that the brokerage and the agent provide to them. This includes undivided loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, and the avoidance of conflicts of interest. Now, you also have the duties in this relationship. You need to be clear about your preferences, respond promptly to my requests, understand the terms of our agreement, and pay the agreed upon fees. Now, know the risk of representing yourself. You also have the right to not become a client and become self-represented in your real estate transaction. This section explains the risk in representing yourself in a real estate transaction. You should consult professional advice before declaring yourself a self-represented party. If you know that you have the skills and experience to represent yourself in a real estate transaction, you should know that I may represent someone else in this real estate transaction. I would then have a legal obligation to act in the best interest of my client, and anything that you said to me may be relayed to my client. However, if you become a client of mine, I would owe you the same duties and obligations as outlined earlier. You have the right to change your mind. If you choose to complete a transaction on your own, you can at a later time choose to become a client of myself or another real estate professional. Now let's talk about signing a contract with a real estate brokerage. When becoming a client, you sign a representation agreement with my brokerage. This agreement outlines the services, duties, payment terms, and termination provisions. If you indicate that you want to be a client, I'll send you the standard client representation agreement that most real estate agents use. As a client, I would owe you the duties. As previously discussed, you gain my undivided loyalty, your interests are protected, I must protect your confidential information, I must avoid any potential conflicts of interest. I have a buying process and a selling process, and I would like to review those with you before we decide to commit to each other. We need to want to work together before we sign an agreement. If you agree to use my process, then we will proceed to an agreement, as there are no standards when it comes to the services offered by real estate agents. I want you to understand the processes and the services that I offer. It is essential to review the processes and the agreement to ensure that there are no misunderstandings. Now let's talk about multiple representations. Now my brokerage follows designated representation. This means I represent you in the real estate transaction. Now a situation may occur where I represent more than one client in the same transaction. This is not allowed unless all clients agree to it. If agreed, my role must change. Now I become a facilitator to the transaction. I remain impartial. I do not have undivided loyalty. I cannot promote or protect one party's interest over the other party's interest, or vice versa. I cannot advise on price terms or other benefits that may harm or help you or the other party in the transaction. I must, as always, provide legal, honest, and ethical service to all parties and protect all confidential information. Once again, it's not allowed unless all parties agree to it, and it's also pretty rare. The most likely scenario is that one party agrees to be represented by another real estate agent within my brokerage. Then everyone retains the same duties and services that they agreed to. Now let's talk about, this is a new section, a note about content of other offers. Sellers in Ontario have the right to disclose the content within the offers that they receive. They cannot disclose personal information. They do not need to disclose their intentions in advance as well, and they can change their mind. Buyers can choose not to participate in offers where the contents of their offers may be disclosed to other parties. However, we may not know about this in advance. This final section is about how to file a complaint if you have concerns or issues that you would like to address. You would first discuss them with my brokerage. If the issue persists, you could contact RECO through the processes outlined in this guide. In conclusion, working with a real estate agent involves mutual responsibilities and clear communication, whether you are a buyer or a seller, a landlord or a tenant. Understanding the terms of our agreement and knowing when to ask for professional advice is crucial to a successful real estate transaction. Your next steps are to reply to me indicating whether you want to be a client or treated as a self-represented party in your real estate transaction. In that reply, include your full legal name. In that reply, tell me if there will be other individuals participating in this real estate transaction, such as your spouse. If so, provide me their full legal name and contact information, such as email. I will then arrange to have this guide signed, stating that you read it in its entirety. I may also forward other documents and have you sign them as well. If you have further questions or concerns, feel free to message or call me. Additionally, you may want to visit the RECO website for further information. Thank you for taking your time watching this video, and I look forward to working with you for your real estate needs. Thank you.